is. All right. So, Jim, we were there for a cool day. I mean, there's a lot of news broke. Obviously, Neely said there's 64 million reasons why Swayman, should come to the team, basically. Then Swayman's agent came out and said that wasn't the case. Just take me through your thoughts on this whole situation.
Yeah, so I remember being in St. Louis after morning skate last year when it was first announced that Jeremy made the All-Star team. And he was talking about his journey, and that's when he first kind of talked about how arbitration really left him scarred. He was really disappointed and hurt. And I remember thinking at the time, boy, the next negotiation is going to be tough. But I forgot all about that because all through the year, he talked about how he loved Boston and how he was confident that a deal was going to get done. And on the occasions we talked to Don Sweeney, he kind of, voiced the same optimism. So I kind of forgot about that morning in St. Louis. And now that this has happened, those memories came back. So I can't say that I'm not totally stunned that it got this far, but I am a little surprised that he's not in camp and with a new contract.
They did that all on purpose. Jacob's on the stage, Sweeney's on the stage, Montgomery's on the stage, Neely's on the stage. Everything they said was pointed. That was for Swayman, a lot of that. So he goes 64 million. The agent turns around and says it's not. They never got offered it at that before that press conference. Was Neely stretching the truth? Who do you believe there? How could they have different takes on how much money was offered?
Yeah, I've always found Cam to be a pretty straight shooter. So when I heard him say 64, I had to believe that was the number. Now I know the reports have come out now that 7.8 was kind of the number they were at, and
Frank
was
Saravalli, up in Canada.
Frank Saravalli, who's very plugged in guy. So you take that for what it's worth, but maybe Neely was rounding up a little bit, and 200,000 is a lot to you and I, but maybe not to in the world of professional sports. So I didn't blame Neely for kind of rounding up there, but I thought it was kind of unprecedented that the agent came out and made that statement. I was a little surprised that if he was going to say something like that, and we've all tried to reach out to that agent many times, and we've heard bupkis back. So. If he was really that insulted, why didn't he just say, 64 is the number? We'll sign right now.
So what I was going to say kind of works with what Fred just brought up, because everything is the way it is, regardless of how we got here. Are we looking at, October 1st, November 1st? I forget which date's the deadline. It's November 1st, right? Yeah. So are we looking at running right up to the deadline before these two sides come to an agreement, or will there be an agreement?
Yeah, I still think there's reason to believe it's going to get done, and I think it comes down to now like an old-fashioned standoff. If the Bruins come out and play like they did last night's exhibition game, which had a real regular season feel because they had most of their regulars, the Flyers had most of their regulars. If they get off to a hot start and they're 8-2 after 10 games, and then maybe Jeremy's camp blinks, right? But if it's the other way around and they're 4-6 or 3-7. Then maybe the Bruins blink. So right now, I think it's kind of a standoff, but I don't think it's past the point of, irreparable damage.
So you said you were surprised. I think we're all surprised that it has gone this far. And maybe I overestimated and do this kind of generally, Jim, the players' desire to stay with the team and stay here. We all want to believe that they're really part of the team and they're the Bruins, and that's a thing for them. Have I overestimated that, or is this part of the negotiating process?
No, I don't think you have. And I think that, I've talked to athletes before who have said that, and you could kind of get the feeling that, hey, they're going to jump to the highest number, right?
Yeah.
But when I talked to Jeremy in Toronto at the All-Star break last year, he was very emotional when he got talking about his time in New England, even at Maine, and how much he appreciated the Bruins and their fans, and he kind of got a little choked up about thinking about staying here and wanting to stay here. So I genuinely believed, and I'm sarcastic by nature. So I genuinely believe that that's where he wants to be, and I still feel that way. I saw him, less than a month ago, right around the start of training camp at Warrior, and he, I said, hey, am I going to see you soon? And he said yes. So I really believe that his ultimate goal is to stay here long term.
Okay, does he have any leverage? It seems like because Pasternak and McAvoy signed bridge deals, which made them unrestricted free agents, and then they got paid. It doesn't seem like Swayman is in a position because they could just. First of all, they could trade him somewhere he doesn't want to. His rights somewhere he doesn't want to go. Second of all, they could just go screw. Like you said, if they're playing well, take him to the deadline. He doesn't make any money, and he won't make up that money in his next contract. So that money's gone. Does he really have any kind of power in this negotiation?
Yeah, a theory that I've kind of thought about in the back of my head is that, when they traded, I think they thought they were going to have a deal in place when they traded Ullmark. And then when Ullmark got traded, maybe the agent strategy changed a little bit and said, hey, we have this team over a barrel now. They just traded a Vezina trophy winner, and we're their only hope. So I think, he has leverage in that case. But again, I think it comes down to, is this team playing well? And the better this team plays, the less his leverage goes. And if they take him to the deadline and, Louis Gross, Swayman's agent, says, hey, let's sign a bridge deal till the end of this year, I don't think the Bruins go for that because then he can walk April as an unrestricted free agent. So that leverage is probably hit its peak. And as we go further and further into the season, the leverage gets less and less on Jeremy's side, unless it's a complete catastrophe and the Bruins fall flat in their face, and then they're going to say, "Hey, and the problems with their bad start are goaltending." Then his leverage, rises again.
Well, then let's discuss Joonas Korpisalo for a second. We sat down, Fred and I, the day that he saw you and talked to Jim Montgomery, and Jim Montgomery extolled the virtues of goalie Bob and how he was great for every goaltender he's ever had. Korpisalo was beyond bad playing for a bad team last year, but many think his outlook is much brighter here.
Yeah, I think, and Monty's right, like goalie Bob from Tim Thomas to Tuukka to Ullmark to Swayman, he's has been able to sprinkle a lot of magic dust over these goalies and have them play really, really well. And I'm not saying it's only him. I mean, obviously these guys had talent, but and you're right, like he had a bad year last year, but he was playing in a dreadful Senators team that, not only was the team bad, but the fan base wanted to get out of that arena. It was just a bad situation all around. But Joonas does have a decent track record. He was a solid goalie in Columbus. He got traded to the Kings 2 years ago during the playoff run and played really well. I mean, the Kings ended up losing in the playoffs. They didn't get to the cup, but Korpisalo was not the reason. He played really well, which is why the Senators turned around and gave him that 4-year contract. Now, obviously, last year didn't go as well, so I think they're counting on goalie Bob and restoring Joonas's confidence to get to a point where he can play in front of a really good defensive-minded team, a team that has a strong defensive core, and just worry about stopping the puck. Don't worry about anything else. And if they can get to that, it'll turn out to be a great trade, and nobody will be questioning that trade anymore.
All right, Jim McBride, great stuff. Read him in the Boston Globe as the Bruins get underway. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Right, thank you. There you go, Jim McBride. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist.